Have you ever left a conversation feeling completely exhausted? Nothing bad happened. There was no argument, no conflict, no difficult discussion. The other person may even have been kind, friendly, and pleasant to talk to. On the surface, everything looks completely normal. Yet afterwards, something feels different inside you. A kind of heaviness, mental tiredness, emotional exhaustion, sometimes even physical fatigue. And what makes it even more confusing is this: you cannot clearly explain why it happened. There is no obvious reason you can point to. So the mind immediately starts searching for explanations. Maybe it was stress, maybe it was work, maybe it was lack of sleep, maybe it was a busy day. And sometimes the explanation turns inward. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. But what if none of these explanations fully capture what is actually happening? What if the exhaustion you feel is not only about what happened in the conversation, but about what your system was processing beneath the surface without you even noticing? And what if this is happening far more often than you think? By the end of this video, you will understand why you may feel drained around people even when nothing appears wrong, and why this experience has a deeper pattern most people never recognize. And more importantly, you will start seeing your own energy in a completely different way. From my own experience with burnout, I have come to recognize that there is a deeper mechanism behind emotional exhaustion that many people overlook. Not because it is complicated, but because it happens quietly in the background of everyday life. For many people, this pattern begins long before they have words for it. It is subtle at first. You go to a social event, you meet friends, you attend a meeting, you have lunch with colleagues. Everything feels normal on the surface. There is no clear problem, no conflict, no tension you can point to directly. But afterward, something shifts inside you. It feels like your internal energy has changed. And often, it is not a small shift. It feels like depletion. You suddenly need silence. You need space. You need to be alone. Not because something went wrong, but because something inside you feels overstimulated. For some people, this happens occasionally. For others, it becomes almost daily. And over time, they begin to notice patterns that are difficult to ignore. Crowded places feel overwhelming. Certain rooms feel heavy without explanation. Some people feel emotionally intense to be around. Tension is sensed before anything is spoken. And the strange part is, nothing obvious has happened. It is not logical in the traditional sense. It is something you feel before you can explain it. For example, you walk into a room feeling calm and grounded, but after some time, your internal state shifts. You feel anxious, heavy, mentally overstimulated, and nothing directly happened to you. Or you speak with someone who's going through something difficult. You listen, you support them, you try to be present, but afterward, something remains with you. Their emotional tone, their stress, their heaviness. Even when the conversation is over, your mind continues processing it, sometimes replaying it, sometimes analyzing it, sometimes simply holding the emotional atmosphere of it. And many people assume this is just how life works. But not everyone experiences it this way. Some people process emotional and environmental information much more deeply than others. And when that happens, life slowly begins to shift. From connection to recovery. It is almost like moving through life as a sponge. A sponge does not choose what to absorb. It does not evaluate. It does not filter. It simply responds to its environment. Whatever it is placed into, it absorbs. Many people move through life in a similar way. They absorb tension, they absorb emotional pressure, they absorb stress from their surroundings, they absorb unspoken emotional signals in people without even realizing it is happening. And later, they feel drained. Not because something is wrong with them, but because absorption has been happening continuously in the background. The challenge is that most people try to solve the wrong problem. They focus on productivity, they try better planning, they improve sleep, they organize their schedule, and while these things are helpful, they often don't touch the real mechanism underneath. Because exhaustion is not always caused by doing too much. Sometimes it is caused by processing too much. Right now, your nervous system is constantly receiving information. Words, facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, micro shifts in atmosphere, emotional signals in others. Most of this happens automatically. You're not consciously analyzing it. There is no active effort, but your system is still registering everything. Like background processing, you cannot turn off. And for some people, this system is more sensitive and more active. They notice emotional shifts quickly. They sense tension in a room almost immediately. They pick up subtle changes in people's behavior. They absorb the emotional atmosphere of environments without trying to. And often, they do not realize the volume of information they are carrying internally. So after interactions, they are not only tired from speaking or listening, they are tired from processing everything that was never said out loud. And here is something important to pause on. Not all of this belongs to you, but your system does not always separate what is yours and what is not in the moment. It simply absorbs first and processes later. And there is one deeper reason this happens that most people never realize. We will return to that shortly. Over time, this pattern creates consequences that are often slow and invisible at first. Mental fatigue becomes normal. Emotional heaviness becomes normal. Feeling overwhelmed becomes normal. Energy starts dropping more frequently. Focus becomes harder to sustain. Patience becomes shorter. And gradually, even things that once felt light or enjoyable begin to feel draining. Many people reach a point where they start believing, "This is just who I am." But often, that conclusion is not accurate. They are not weak. They are not broken. They are simply carrying emotional weight that was never meant to be carried continuously. It is like carrying an invisible backpack that no one can see. At first, it feels manageable, but over time, every interaction adds a little weight. Every environment adds a little weight. Every emotional exchange adds a little weight. Until one day, it becomes too heavy to ignore. And the hardest part is this: you get used to it. So you forget what it feels like not to carry it. What if exhaustion is not always a problem? What if it is information? What if it is feedback? Most people try to eliminate exhaustion as quickly as possible. But what if exhaustion is actually communicating something important? Perhaps it is showing you where your boundaries are not yet clear. Perhaps it is showing you which environments affect your system the most. Perhaps it is revealing patterns you have ignored for years. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you begin asking, "What is this experience trying to show me?" And that shift, although subtle, changes everything. Because awareness creates choice, and choice creates change. The first step is not becoming less sensitive, and it is not shutting down how you feel. The first step is awareness, learning to notice how your energy changes around different people, how certain environments affect your system. When you begin to feel drained, what situations require recovery? Because once you see the pattern clearly, you can begin responding differently. You can create healthier boundaries. You can choose environments more intentionally. You can protect your energy without withdrawing from life. Awareness is where transformation begins. Without awareness, the pattern continues. With awareness, everything becomes possible. If you regularly feel drained around people, there may be more happening beneath the surface than you realize. You are not weak. You are not failing. You may simply be processing more than others notice. And the important part is this: once you understand what is happening, you can begin changing your relationship with your energy, your environment, and yourself. In future videos, we will explore emotional energy management, boundaries, burnout prevention, and practical ways to stop carrying what was never yours to carry. If this resonated with you, you can continue here. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.